Okay, thank you for certified timers. Hopefully everybody in the room is a certified timer or going to become. We're gonna kind of do, I think, kind of a refresher that also just kind of go again through, what we think is important for RaceJoy and your usage of RaceJoy over the years. And that's really what the session's all about here today. And again, I see, Ethan, you're kind of new to the whole world, and did you get certified yet? Or yeah, but you're part of an organization that is, and so it's really good that they're kind of getting engaged. That's actually a really good point. If you work in an organization and you want someone new that you're bringing in just to kind of take over the map building and stuff like that, we have an online course for them to get certified. They don't have to wait to go to something. Just send an info into Kevin at info@racejoy.com, and he can get you set up for the online class, and that way that person can kind of get a little bit of training. So yeah, today we're going to talk through some of the changes that have happened on the platform with registration integration. I want to make sure the certified timers have a clear understanding and picture of what's happening with registration data syncing over to RaceJoy. And like even the suite run was a really good example of that today, and something that we encountered. So we're going to kind of really talk about that registration integration, make sure you have all the information. We're then going to move into map matters. I'm going to talk about this map anomalies and what these mean and how you deal with those. There's a lot of times we'll be telling you something and you should treat it as a warning, or no, you should not treat this as a warning. You need to treat this like I got to fix this. And so we'll kind of talk about what those things are. And then we're going to move into monitoring, and just in this area, I invite you as certified timers to just have this be more of a two-way communication. We want to know if you're using monitoring, what you're experiencing with monitoring, and just like maybe something that's missing there and why you're not monitoring. And then we do have a short session. I think that the bread and butter standard in-person course, 5K, it's so easy, 10K for you guys to load in. And then all of a sudden we encounter this, oh, I got a relay, I got a marathon relay I got to do, or I've got some kind of ultra thing I got to load, and like, wow, I've never done this. So I want to spend a few minutes and just kind of point out again how to handle relays, how to handle these types of things, and just kind of give you a little bit of refresher again about those configurations. Again, we're here, Kevin and myself and everybody on the support channel. We have multiple people that monitor it. We're here to help you get through that. The main thing is we want this to be 5-10 minutes worth of work, easy for you to set up, certified, load your maps, and move on. We don't want to create more work for our timers. And then we do want to talk about what's missing. So if you just put your thinking caps on as I'm talking here today, if there's something that is really been bugging you, here's your opportunity. As certified timers, you are our partners. Tell us what's missing, and we'll make sure it's on the roadmap, and give us that feedback. Yep. So what did we do this last year with registration integration? So I changed the model. It used to be that we would have a reason why we wanted participants to set up their own profiles, and the reason was we're taking this phone, and this phone has a GPS device on it, and we're tracking people, and so there's a lot of concerns around privacy, right? People are wow, like. The other day, Bob got COVID. I get a text that he has COVID. 2 minutes later, I'm getting a notification, and I spoke to Shelly. I said, "Oh, Bob's got COVID." 2 minutes later, I get a notification from the county saying, "COVID notifications in your area." Okay, so it's really spooky technology that's going on right now, right? I mean, they're listening to us. They're tracking every movement. What I need to do with RaceJoy is to make sure that users have a real good sense of what we're doing and what their privacy is around that. So when we originally built RaceJoy, we made it up to the participants to opt in. One, they had to choose to be tracked in the event, but they also had to choose the name and the pseudonym that they wanted to be tracked under. They still have that capability with RaceJoy, but what we found is over time, people were just frustrated. Like, again, that participant experience, they were frustrated that they had to come in and just like, you already know I'm doing this race. Why are you asking me who I am? And so we went ahead and did the work. We've enabled it now. It's a completely sync model with RunSignup and the registration. And if you're using RaceJoy and you enable RaceJoy for an event that's not using RunSignup, not a problem. You're a certified timer. You have some ultra event or something that's not using RunSignup, not an issue. Just load the data. I worked with a race out in Lake Tahoe, really good example. The Tahoe big relay, very famous relay. They don't use RunSignup, not a problem. Timer loaded in all the teams and all the data's there and it's all there. It's just a matter of you loading just like you would for a local race, loading those teams, loading those participants into RunSignup. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to enable anything. It all syncs down to RaceJoy. The only thing you have to think about and remember is that the date of birth or race age needs to be there in order for that to come down. And that's what we found with the Sweet Run. When we first loaded, we didn't ask you for your date of birth and race age, and so the data didn't load down. And I can, you got the clicker, okay. So, RaceJoy is supported for all types of events. You got your standard 5K, 10K courses. You've got your virtual race anywhere courses that are out there. You've got your challenge, multiple activities where I'm doing multiple activities. And then you have the hybrid. We are combining both virtual and the in-person. I want to stop here for a second. As a timer, you're going to charge for RaceJoy and you're going to be making money off RaceJoy. If you have a marathon or something going on, put that kind of hat on and say, like, here's an opportunity for me to make some money. Hey, you know what? I'm enabling RaceJoy for your marathon. Why don't we enable a challenge activity thing? And again, you're giving me some money, and I'm going to have a challenge that people leading up to the marathon can do a challenge. And it's 2 clicks. You create an event, create a challenge, turn on challenge processing, create the activity types. You're done as a timer. Your work's done. But yet you've provided some extra level of service for that marathon, and you can make some money. So again, it's really up to you how you use the tool and what you enable. But we support everything. Another thing I want to say about Race Anywhere, I've had a lot of requests for I really love Race Anywhere. I don't have to load a map. I can just literally come in, turn on Race Anywhere processing, and I'm done, right? And so why can't I just do that for my, I got this 5K coming up, and I'm working with this race director, and they don't really know what their course is going to be. Like, how do I handle that, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little secret. You're here today, certified timers, a little secret. Just load in a map. Get a map loaded in. It's a standard in-person course. You're not going to do virtual processing. You got a map loaded. Take the start marker and move it away from the course by a half a mile. What happens is when people come to the course, we will automatically downgrade the phone into Race Anywhere, and we'll run it as a Race Anywhere for them. So the course can be completely wrong. It's not a problem. Just edit the course information and make sure you turn off the off-course alerts, because you don't want people to get off-course alerts. So we, in a sense, do support you doing Race Anywhere without a course map. But we don't want that, right? Because the best experience is for participants to know this is the course I'm doing. It's what you experienced today on the Sweet Run. This is the course. I'm getting alerts based upon a course. That's what we built RaceJoy to do. Okay. So this is another area that we've had some contention a little bit on the support channel. I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. So you're a timer. You're getting paid some money to do the event, and you get some money. Maybe you offer RaceJoy as part of your services. Maybe you charge for RaceJoy. And then, like Race Anywhere is really quick. I can just turn the virtual on. I can just do virtual for RaceJoy and not turn on the in-person. So let me see a show of hands of people that have kind of been doing that with RaceJoy, where you just like offer the virtual stuff and just forget about doing the in-person and the course maps. Has anybody been doing that? Okay, so great. Thank you for that. We have a really good group of people here. Unfortunately, you're not, the only timers that we have. We have some timers that just coming in and enabling the virtual. We get complaints. Participants are like, what's going on? Like, I'm doing the race. Where's the option for me to do it? And so we do ask for you to provide the full experience and work it out with your race director to get the funds that you need. It takes you time to load that map. They should pay you some money to make that map happen and so forth. Okay, so go ahead. Absolutely. We have a lot of people that will actually go ride their mountain bike and just record it and then load it in. We do this all the time, especially in the trail space. I've got a guy up in Ohio. He's so anal about it because it's all trail racing, like a week ahead of the race because of flooding and all kinds of stuff. And those little turns, those little changes, and he loads in a really accurate path for that trail run. So it's just a matter of getting some kind of recording, however you want to do it. There's a lot of apps out there that help you do that. Yeah.
Like that, would you suggest turning off?
So you have control over the parameter. And so like we just did a, well, it was actually Steve's paddleboard event in Key West. And so you have control over the radius for each marker. And so that's for, the off course too. So edit course info, you can absolutely turn off course alerts. If you're a little bit worried about this course, just turn it off. But if you want to increase the radius of the off course alerts, then you can set that to be, actually Burning River is happening tomorrow or Saturday. He had that same concern. It's all trail, and he's really worried about like the off course. And so he put his to like almost a 1/10 of a mile. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about sort of the registration integration. So this is all sort of newer stuff. I don't think we definitely haven't seen each other in person since it's come out. So what you have learned is kind of all through virtual stuff. So we wanted to kind of deep dive into this and kind of dummy it down and make sure you guys all kind of understand it. So I think for the first part, who understands registration integration and how that works with RaceJoy? Do people have no clue what it is or how it works exactly? Like, how are you guys feeling on this? No clue? No clue? That's fine. Absolutely fine. That's what we're here for. So registration integration with RaceJoy. So as James kind of alluded to earlier, we used to have the participants manually create their profile in RaceJoy. And with the whole integration now is that we will now sync down your participant data from RunSignup into RaceJoy. So if you guys use RaceJoy this morning, if you searched for your name, you popped up, a course popped up, and then you could just hit plus to add yourself, and then you kind of go through the additional process getting your kind of phone set up, right? In the past, we used to have people create a profile, type the first name, type their last name, enter in their bib number, and everything like that. So all that data now, including bib number, comes directly from RunSignup into RaceJoy. So that's basically the baseline of what registration integration is. Now, when we opened that up, we found that there were lots of specific scenarios where this 1-to-1 ratio did not work. So the first thing that I want to say and make sure you guys understand is that each course that you're creating, or specifically each distance, so your 5K and everything like that, it needs to have its own RunSignup registration event. So specifically what that means is if you have a registration event that is a double, I mean, not double specifically, but let's say a 5K, 10K, right? It's one registration event on RunSignup, and you say, sign up here, it's $25. You can run the 5K, you run the 10K, I don't really care, but you want to offer RaceJoy. Well, when you go to RaceJoy and you enable this one event called the 5K/10K, you can only load one course in, right? So, and you can only load in, and then you can only get in one set of participants, right? So what you have to do in those situations, you need to create a hidden 5K or hidden 10K event. So basically you create another event on RunSignup, we'll call it 10K. And on step 5 of the wizard, there's a setting to hide events with closed registration dates. So all you have to do is turn that on, make sure registration never opens, set it to the past, right? Your start and end date for that event is set to the past. So this 10K basically becomes hidden. It's hidden, no one's going to register. So we're still going to allow people to register for the 5K or 10K single event. You can then enable your new 10K course and then create a map, load it in a map for your 10K. So now you have a 5K event and a 10K event. And then you can kind of get into your super and sub events, which we'll get into in terms of how you would get your participant data. Because if you think we created this 10K hidden event, who's registered for that? Nobody. But how do we get people into RaceJoy now? Where is it through? It's RunSignup, right? But because we created this hidden event in RunSignup to get the 10K course in there, we have no participant data in there. So that's another scenario that we would get into that I'll kind of explain in terms of having super and sub events in there as well. Again, you have to create events for all your courses in RaceJoy now. In the past, you could kind of get away with it, but now it's very specific to if you have a virtual event, you have a 5K event, 10K event, you got to create one for every single event because we're pulling in registration data in. So yeah. So the exception to enabling every single course, every single event is what we call a bundle event. So a bundle event is, we probably had that example right there, was a bundle event, but let's say you have a half marathon on Saturday and a full marathon on Sunday, sorry. And you have this challenge where it's a double weekend challenge, whatever. So they run the half on Saturday and the full on Sunday. So that gets into that scenario of how can we allow people to kind of have two registration records, right? So again, we would go do that exact same thing we did earlier. We created, you can use your double event as your half marathon, and then you create a hidden marathon event on the back end. Oh yeah, sorry. So let me back up here. Sorry for this. So we're going to start with an example of having your on RunSignup, your race registration set up. You have a half marathon registration, that's on Saturday. You have a marathon registration, that's on Sunday. And then you have a double, which allows people to do the half marathon and the full marathon. In RaceJoy, you would enable your half marathon and your full marathon. This allows people that have regularly registered for the half marathon to be able to do RaceJoy for those two courses. In RaceJoy, what we've done is created this thing called alternate course processing type. So what you would then do is you would enable, no, I'm getting all sorts of confused right now. Yeah. So then for the double, you would not enable a double, and you would do super sub event, which I'll get into shortly. And this is what that super sub event is. So on RunSignup, there's a setting called super sub event. It's under the event grouping section. And you can basically allow people that have registered for certain events to appear as a participant in the participant report for another event. So if I were to enable sub events for the double and put them in the half marathon and marathon, if I register for the double, I will show up as a participant in both the half marathon and the full marathon. And that gets my registration record down into RaceJoy so that it allows me to do the half marathon in RaceJoy and the full marathon in RaceJoy. Does that make sense? This is the time to ask questions because I just did an okay job.
So the person that questions about that challenge. So again, all we're doing is we're taking the one registration record and sign up. Way to think that's what happened. We're not trying to do this. Whatever bid you put on that super record is what we're showing.
Typically, they'll keep that bid. Typically is what we've seen is that they'll keep that same bid when they run both events.
So just to recap, don't enable RaceJoy. Just think about what activities people are doing, what courses they're doing. That's what you need to do. They're doing that. That's all you need. Not registration records to show the completion. If you don't do it, it's fine. People that are doing challenges have to.
So in this example here, this race had a single half marathon daytime, a single half marathon nighttime, and then they had a double half marathon, which basically said you're going to do the night and the day. RaceJoy for this bundle event, which allows them to do the night and the daytime. You want to set it up as a super sub event like this. So there's a setting that says sub events for the double half marathon day and night. We're going to add the single half marathon and the single half marathon for the day and night as a sub event. Again, what that does is that takes the registrations here and splits them into here. So I've registered for the double half marathon. It gives me a registration on the single daytime and the single nighttime. Once I get that split into these two single events that you've already enabled for RaceJoy, it then pulls my registration into those specific events. So when I search for Kevin Lai in this event, it'll say, hey, Kevin, you're registered for the single half marathon nighttime and the single half marathon daytime. You can do both courses, just select which course you're doing at this current time. I'm gonna pause because I think this is really important. Does everyone get that? Does that not make sense? Do you guys have races that you specifically have where you have bundle events that we can explain it through your specific race? Yeah.
I don't have races like that, but where is
So that's
some events?
so it-
That would be more of a
yeah,
registration.
yeah.
I just have never done it.
Yeah.
This is one of those areas again where it's like, but where do you think this goes? See this list here, and boom, you're gonna start thinking about it. Like, wait a second, this event's got something going on. Make sure they don't give you access to this. You have to ask them. Set this up.
So I have a 5K to 10K.
Yep.
And I'll try to keep it the RaceJoy part. 5K, 10K, where they can, it's an hour part of the day. I've always set it up as 5K, 10K, with allowing people to sign up. In this sense, if I set it up as 5K, 10K, or both, 3 different events, then I'm gonna go into event grouping, have that double the bundle, as you say. Sign them into both of them. Then when I set up RaceJoy, if I'm setting up RaceJoy for it, I want to create for the one, the other, but not for the one.
Yep. Because by doing the event grouping, you're giving them a registration into the two singles.
I will forget about this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Again, so it's also important, I think, for you guys here. The reason why we're kind of going slowly with this, we want you to understand it, but you guys also, I think, Steve and Sean, you know this, like, I'm here, we're here. When you enable a race, I see it. I'm going to reach out if I see something wrong, and then you'll get an explanation basically about this, but maybe more specific to your race that will make sense for you. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have an unrelated question to that, but I've never seen this, a daytime half marathon and a nighttime half marathon.
Yeah.
Do you run the half marathon and you take a 6 to 8
It's-
hour break?
I think
and
it's-
then if you're doing the double?
Yeah, it's I think they do a lot of ultra races.
Yeah,
So I think they did like a super early and then at night. And then I think it was in
I've never.
it was
seen
in one of the national parks, I believe. So it's like a scenic one as well.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. So they've done some pretty cool things there. But yeah, I'm not saying I would do it.
I'm not saying I wouldn't.
I'm not saying I would survive that, actually. So multiple registration types for the same activity. So for on-site, if you have in-person timed courses, this is James, what is this? Okay, so this gets into alternate. So for multiple registration types for the same activity, think 5K registration, you have a 5K registration, and then you have a 5K shirt registration. Then you have a 5K kids registration. Then you have a 5K adults registration. I don't know, right? But they are all running the same 5K course. It's the same activity, but you have different registration types. This could be for on-site or virtual, right? You could have a virtual 5K anywhere, no shirt, virtual 5K anywhere, mail me a shirt situation, right? In those cases, you are going to want to enable RaceJoy for every of those event options. Now, if it's an in-person course, do you guys want to load in 6 5K courses that are the same, set it all up? Does that sound fun? I kind of didn't think so. So what you want to do is have your one main kind of 5K course, load in a course, set all that up, set your timing configurations up and everything like that, save that, get that map certified. And now you've enabled all of your other additional 5K options. Change the processing type to use alternate course, and then select the main 5K course as the main course option. So what that does, 2 things that this does. By enabling RaceJoy, you're getting the registration record in, right? So by enabling, the half marathon wheelchair division, I'm getting those wheelchair people into RaceJoy so that they can use RaceJoy. By using the use alternate course processing type, what that allows you to do is only load in one map. The alternate course processing type basically says, give me the map configuration, give me the map setup for this main course, and that's the map that all of these participants are going to use. So again, it allows you to have the same distance events, but it allows them to everyone to get their registration record into RaceJoy without having you load in 7 different maps. Back in the day, you'd have to do that. It wasn't great sometimes, because back in the day, it was just very confusing because they would say, well, I registered for the 5K so-and-so, I registered for the wheelchair division, where's my event? I'm really confused. And so it was just always a mess. So again, this is specific to events that have, one 5K, multiple registration options. Any questions there on that? Good. I think this one's pretty straightforward. This one's very easy, which is much better than the bundles. Again, you want to add courses as needed. So again, kind of going back to that bundle event, if there's, you have to add additional courses, you have to hide them in step 5 of the Race Wizard. Again, there's that setting to hide events with closed registration dates. Yeah, Steve.
I do that, but I do private. Close better.
It's either way. With private, technically, there's a way to get to it. Very technically, they'd have to know the specific private event code with the URL. So they technically can get to it. When you hide it, it just you're never going to be able to find it. It's sort of a more bulletproof way of just making sure no one registers for that event.
I won't get a yellow dot. I would like to see the yellow dot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, for alternate and for hybrids and virtuals, if you have a shared result sets, you can use the alternate event submission in the virtual events. So if you have a 5K race anywhere and then a 5K race anywhere, no shirt, in the RunSignup virtual result configuration, you can say, give me one result set, and the people that are in the no shirt option will post to that one result set. You basically allow the 5K no shirt option to post into the 5K anywhere result set. That process is basically what it is for that alternate course processing type for the in-person events. And again, just kind of going over sort of the processing types that we do have. Standard, obviously, are for standard in-person races. Relay are for, again, in-person relay races. Race Anywhere are for virtual kind of Race Anywhere events. Challenge and tally processing, those are for your sort of virtual challenge events. And then the alternate course processing type is, again, for that use case scenario of having multiple registration events for the same activity. Again, guys are in this alone. When you guys enable RaceJoy, we get a notification. I look at it and I review it, and you will hear from me proactively with things that need to get fixed and everything like that. So yeah. So again, part of what we want to do today is just to kind of get it out to you, and hopefully you guys can see it and understand it a little bit better. But you'll always hear from me. You'll always hear from Chris or James with any issues that we see. So don't feel like you're in this alone. We rely on you guys, and I know you rely on us. So it's kind of a two-way street here.
Today is all about like, what do we kind of host and support and try to help you. This one comes in support a lot. Small block. So you can't change the processing type once the link is live. So it's that virtual night. It's a virtual night. Second, just make sure that virtual event is 5 minutes in the future.
Tracking periods. When are RaceJoy tracking periods? Where is it controlled by? Anyone know? Of? Say it again? Correct. That's for in-person events.
Okay, in-person events. For virtual events, it would be.
Yep, correct. So we see this a lot. We see, and we have map anomalies, and James will mention this in a hot second here. But we see this quite often where tracking periods are probably not correct because sometimes they just don't know where it is. For in-person events, again, any RaceJoy course that you have standard processing type or relay processing type, the start date and time and the end date and time is where the RaceJoy start tracking and end tracking comes from. Again, that is in the Race Wizard.
Question. If I have a race starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, from that, RaceJoy starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. Sometimes, while I'm sitting there timing, my boss gets a little trigger finger and he starts at 8:59. With their, that's
so
the question.
basically, we're actually
That answer.
because they're coming in actually an hour.
Want them to be able to see start, not just see.
Yeah.
Oh, where is it?
Right. Yeah. And also, you guys might, I know we do, we get quite a bit of questions from end users who are trying to get their profile set up, kind of get everything set up a week before, and they want to go track their race. When tracking is not open, participants can't obviously track their phones. So they can test their tracking and make sure everything looks good, but they can't actively try to track the race. So you guys might get questions like that where you have end users that are like, hey, I'm trying to track my race, and you look at the race, look at the tracking period, and it's set for next week. Just know that they can't do anything with their device until the tracking period's open. And again, for virtual and challenge processing type, your tracking periods are controlled at the start virtual submission date and the end virtual submission date. So that's where those two settings are coming from. So again, yeah, just this is like a very simple thing, but because we've had a lot of changes over the last 2 to 3 years, I know this has changed quite a bit in terms of where it's coming from. So kind of just telling it to you guys in person, I think is a good thing. This is a little RaceJoy checklist. If you guys wanted to maybe take a picture of it or just remember that's in the slideshow, this is something that we created in terms of like if you're doing a virtual event, things to look out for. If you're doing an in-person event, things to look out for. If you're doing a defined course and a virtual event, what are things to look out for? So, you know, making sure that your virtual results are set up properly, your tracking period is set up correctly. Making sure you're enabling all your registration options for in-person events, again, without the bundles, and just making sure that you're kind of reviewing all your maps, certifying your maps and everything like that. So these are sort of the things that we see and support that often get missed when you guys certify. Because just because you certify doesn't mean I don't look at it. I still look at it and review it. So just making sure that you guys can kind of have this checklist ready to go, and just kind of going through and just making sure you're not missing anything.
So, as far as the map anomalies, here, but here's a warning, what you should choose. How many of you are actually trying markers or block the signs? How many of you are GPS measure? Some of you are trying to do markers. So if you know, of course, got a lot of signage out there, definitely with markers, it's going to make for a better participant experience. If you do that, when you hit save, you're going to be getting map anomalies like this saying, oh, hey, whoa, GPS map says this. Just ignore it. We're just telling you based on GPS map what we think things are. You expect that at some point. Okay. You'll also be seeing map anomalies about these course names. You know, sponsors, races that love them. I did brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Proud to give you the course. Just edit the course info. Just you'll get that map anomaly. This tracking period we just covered. A lot of times when you talk, I'm there, I'm out, it's really that long, right? So you're thinking like that in terms of tracking. Problem is that you didn't think about like all we're asking you is think about what possible things can happen. That way, if you're really with that delay, you're not even thinking about it. So just set up your plan, just run. That's why we do this mapping on like so see that just take yourself, yeah, right. Yeah,
You know, the last thing you want to do is have a 5K. You're like, oh, 15 minutes, 30 minutes for a 5K, it's a little 5K. And you set it to an hour and a rain delay comes and halfway through the race, tracking stops. So again, you just buffering it, protecting it, you know, bring it out to 3 hours doesn't really matter. Yeah.
This one we did a lot. So I'm working on this on the computer. So the marker. Just look at that marker. Make sure the markers are on the back. Go back to that one. One thing again. Trail links with switch backs and stuff like that. A lot of times, not balancing. Because of course they're like, remember, you're in control. Right? Lower down to 25 degrees. Very seldom, unless it's not that force to get that. In doubt, send an email to Kevin. Get it out and I'll send a screenshot.
Okay, monitoring. Who monitors? Very nice. Good. So again, really quickly, why you should monitor. You can ensure that everything is working properly. No error or issues with the course map that you loaded in. Again, it's just quality control from you guys. Again, you wouldn't want to put out a map and have it be totally wrong and not know about it. You just want to be able to see it. And we give you that ability to kind of monitor it live and everything like that. If anything, you can combine it with chip time results for verification or backup times. You can just verify that the person ran the course properly. If it at times seems a little quick, a little odd, you can just double check if maybe everyone on the course was running it properly. And again, for virtual results, RaceJoy automatically posts to RunSignup, so they can do their activity in RaceJoy, and their RaceJoy times will automatically post up to RunSignup for virtual events. The situation here, again, in monitoring, you can have the path that the participants ran in monitoring, which allows you to kind of see potential course issues early. So if you track the leader in RaceJoy, here in this example, you can see that the course is in green, and they clearly made a left and just kind of cut this course, cut mile 1 early. So if you see that your leader does that, you can quickly fix it and just kind of move the mile marker 1 kind of into this general area. So that way your participants still get that mile 1 alert. You're not trying to fix the course because it's race morning. That's not a priority. You're just trying to make sure that they don't miss a marker location. And then after the race, you can debrief and kind of figure out why situations like this occurred. For virtual events, in terms of monitoring, it's pretty straightforward. It's just making sure your virtual events or your virtual results are set up properly, and that people are kind of getting their results submitted properly to RunSignup. So if you click on a participant when you're monitoring for virtual races, you'll see this kind of results successfully submitted to RunSignup. Once you kind of see that, you know that everything is working properly. The virtual runners are kind of going about and running their 5K in their own neighborhood. They're completing the 5K. They're getting the results posted to RunSignup. And that's sort of what embodies the virtual side of things. Again, quick little things in terms of what you can do in monitoring. You can find a specific participant. We allow you to export a filter participant list if you want. So you can search by teams, by specific names or anything like that. You can export all that out. You can have a tracking progress board, which is basically your leaderboard in terms of kind of based on all your RaceJoy participants. You can send messages to filter participants. This is pretty useful in case you have any, any big ultras. You have one particular participant that is making a wrong turn or anything like that. You can send it directly to that person. You can export route replays. So you can export the route that participants ran. If they're saying, hey, I ran the course, and you're like, no, you didn't, you can export that, send that export to the participants, say, here's what we have in terms of the route that you ran. You can get off course alerts. James will talk about this really quick. We can get SOS alerts. You can send responses to participants now. And then you can get extended device data, battery levels, kind of where they're at on their device.
So this is a new feature that we made on the expectations. So I don't really know. You have it on again. That's some safety. So under that, they have a button. They can hit that button and send new these messages to be free. Drop it on your map with that. So other than that safety feature that we added, that covers the video. Yeah, there was a webinar.
SOS.
There's an SOS messages.
Yeah, so they show immediately on the dashboard the scale, but they're also distribution with a link to go to that point.
Yeah, so in monitoring, you could show where that message was. So if you click, you can show where that message location, like when they sent that message, where the ping was, and then you can click to the participant and see where they are currently.
Yeah. Those hard attacks that happen. I'm running by it now. I have my SOS. I just does it also distribute via text or just email? Just email and on the operations app. So real quick refresh on this. I know you don't do them all the time, just a couple things. Relays are just like your standard. Make sure the exchange points are on the map. Keep the audio piece work every single one. I'm running that late. Definitely for longer cars, just turn the product stores on. And very important, we get this last support. What's the last leg? What is the last leg of the relay? Where's the end? Finish, right? Click on the exchange point and finish. That's my last leg. So get that last leg. And that's a typical configuration like looks. Again, alerts every 5 audio takes all one.
And then checked on here for finish for the exchange point.
And for ultras, it's the same as a relay. Just the main thing here, just going on here. If you're feeling somebody like you said, I'm going out there, I'm recording. I don't have time to do the whole thing. I'm going to record this part. I'm going to record this part. So I have all these different recordings. Just send us an email and we'll put it together for you. We don't have that in that tool today. So real quickly, you guys have used RaceJoy, your certified drivers. What are pain points? What's this? What's like? We got a roadmap on that. So say, like, this is the model.
Does it? My coworker's been the one setting it up, so I haven't been as much in there. But does it, when you renew a race, set up RaceJoy?
Thank you for asking that. Yes. This is really important. If we keep the event name the same, we won't do the back and forth. Over. All you gotta do is just be certified. It's so easy for you to process for it. The problem is, like I was talking about before with law enforcement, last year it was the Dunkin' Donuts I'm gonna run a 5K, and this year it's the Starbucks I'm gonna run a 10K. I don't even have to. Just send an email with info. Don't worry about it. But I will tell you on our backlog, we have a feature. Mapping, export. It's just something I have got. But
And if you have any type of like, I loaded in a map, there's a map in RaceJoy from 3 years ago that I want to use.
Yeah.
Just send it to info at. We can just tell us which year, which map, and then which map you want it to kind of copy to. We'll make that happen for you.
Everybody will say, okay, now I'm on it, but they'll say, okay, fine, we're gonna do it over here. What about, what's the old man with the
Street.
where we come?
Street. It's the most you can just back it over. You can actually like look and see exactly what it's doing. It really helps with farmers.
Yeah.
Can you replay the? Sometimes I like to just be like, look how cool this is.
All the blue dots.
Can you replay that?
Yes, just click on it, like that person and just show replay and it'll show.
You want to replay the actual monitoring of all the blue dots moving.
Yeah.
Screen record.
Or
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, send
Yeah.
ask one more.
Yeah.
So sometimes a race will be over for a while. I'll open up monitoring to check something, and I'll see that Bob Smith is hanging out in his house. That's kind of creepy to me. Is it because, even though I'm the creeper, in that situation?
So we changed. They can't see that. Once they have finished, problem is that you don't get people. One person's cell stopped the rocket. We actually showed the replay, my cell stopped it. Of course, it's still going on. The phone still thought he was looking at that smart person. He was still, he went home, he was out here, he got his phone working again. And so, but he never caught it. So he didn't finish off the so that's
So once they complete, it should delete them.
you can't see them on the map.
But if they're getting ready at the house 45 minutes before it rains.
So
I
this
won't
is why, it's really, people are kind of charged for phone station, but they should have. Right now, it's just, I don't know. They have right on their map, there's a big green button, so turn back on and off, right on the map. So you only have to shut the app off.
Yeah, it's kind of very fast. Figured out.
Oh my God.
I figured it might.
Virtual,
Yeah.
virtual 5K,
Yeah.
flying.
And it was going 447 miles.
No, the website, I think that's all.
Yeah, it picked it up.
Oh my gosh.
There are ways on the virtual side to set parameters. Now,
Yeah, I think that's all we have.
thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time.
Thank you.